Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Raw Report for, I believe, the 28th of um, December 2020. Can't believe we are days away from 2021. Sorry that my content's been a little spotty as of late, but between the holiday week and clients and other things, been a little busy. If you're looking for life, relationship, or business coaching, and or if you're in the entertainment industry and looking for entertainment coaching, please check out Scott Golden. Just search Scott Golden Life Coach on your favorite search engine, and my site will pop up. Anyway, on to the show review. In any event, they open with a memorial graphic to John Harper, aka John Huber, aka Luke Harper, aka Brody Lee. Classy there. They could have done more with it, honestly. They could have easily shown a video package, but the whole we compete with who he works for now BS continues, and it shows the immaturity of those in the wrestling business. Those in the wrestling business have always been immature. If you are dumb enough to think that showing a graphic and or video package for someone who has passed is going to kill your fan base, then honestly you have very few brain cells. Anyway, and there are people in the industry who feel that way. Tom Phillips welcomes everybody to the show with "It's Monday," and you know what that means. It's a reference to Brody Lee using that phrase on social media. McIntyre enters and he does that phrase as well, adding "yeah, yeah, yeah" to the end. McIntyre speaks about what a year 2020 has been, thanks to the fans for actually making him the chosen one for the year. He notes that he will be defending the title next week in Legends Night against Sheamus or Keith Lee. Keith Lee, I would care about if they were booking him better. Sheamus, I haven't cared about since 2010. I don't think that's a step in the right direction. Sheamus enters. Sheamus says technically he kept his word about last week and didn't touch Lee until after the match. And then Sheamus said they were so close to the dream match they always wanted. McIntyre says he made everyone was uncomfortable with how physical it would get, and Sheamus said that he would kick Lee's head off and kick the year off the right way. Lee comes out. Lee thought McIntyre looked proud of Sheamus for what he did. Lee no longer trusts either of them. Lee said he would force an apology out of Sheamus during their match and warned McIntyre that Sheamus would stab him in the back. I really hope this isn't going to a McIntyre and Sheamus program, just because I think it's a step backwards for McIntyre. McIntyre's sick of them talking, calls the referee out, and starts the match. And then McIntyre told them he would be champion next week no matter what. Lee confronts McIntyre before he leaves. Then they go to the match. Keith Lee and Sheamus go nearly 13 minutes. McIntyre joined on commentary. He said that they should have both seen the attack coming. Sheamus works over Lee. Lee suplexes him over the top into the outside. Lee uses his power and then kind of tosses Sheamus around. Sheamus catches Lee with a knee strike and does this before he could re-enter the ring. Sheamus follows with a double axe handle off the top rope to the outside. And then they go to a commercial break less than 5 minutes into the contest. They fight back and forth and take advantage. And Neil Sheamus is coming off the top. They settle up to mess up a spot. Lee hits tackle. And then Sheamus fights back for a moment. Lee comes back with a crossbody for a near fall, which I think is what they were going for in the first place. Sheamus hits White Noise for a near fall of his own and nails Lee in the face. Lee no-sells a headbutt and then hits a spirit bomb for the win. McIntyre and Lee for the title next week. Stare down after the match between the two. This would have mattered 4 months ago, but I don't think it matters now because they've killed Lee off. Elias plays guitar in the back with Jason Riker by his side, and someone knocks on the door and he's told to ignore it. It tells Riker to ignore it. I mean, Elias is a dead gimmick, so I don't really know why it's even getting TV time. 3.5 minutes. Grand Metalik with Lince Dorado defeating The Miz with John Morrison. Um, this match happens because Lucha House Lucha House Party, easy for me to say, thought it was dumb that Miz should get his money in the bank contract returned to him. I think it's dumb too. Um, Miz starts ranting about the contract during the match and uses a sunset flip pin for the win. Miz is angry about losing the contract and desponding after losing here. Someone's knocking on Elias's door. Riker opens it, almost an AJ barge in. Styles and Omos trying to listen to Mozart while Styles is on the phone with WWE management trying to right the wrong of him unfairly having to deal with other noises. Styles and Elias, he says that he's no longer Johnny Cash. He's more like Johnny Trash. Elias tells Riker that Styles is just upset about losing, and he then, basically calls him old and over the hill. Styles says they should fight tonight so he could break Elias's fingers, and no one would have to listen to his music. Shayna Baszler defeats Dana Brooke with Mandy Rose at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Baszler puts down Brooks on the outside of the ring with the clutch. Baszler goes after Rose. Brooke makes the save with a neck breaker for a near fall. Baszler dodges a splash, hits a strike with a knee, and gets a win with the clutch. Rose checks on Brooke post-match. Referee begins being freaked out, and Rose somehow doesn't notice. Baszler puts her down with the Kina clutch as well. We go to the second hour. Alexa's Playground. Randy Orton is guest. Segment is done in the ring. Swing set as a slide bar, basically. Bliss speaks like a child, and Bliss is happy. He built the set. She hadn't seen him since the Inferno match, and Bliss calls out Randy Orton. His music plays, but he doesn't show up. They run through the music another time. Firefly Funhouse music played, and Orton emerged inside a Funhouse set. Orton tosses around puppets and yells at Bliss. He thought it's funny that she thought the Fiend was coming back, but if he's returning, Orton wanted to ensure the Fiend had nothing left. Bliss panics. Orton continues to destroy part of the set. Bliss begs off and rips the head off Orton rips the head off the rabbit. Bliss challenges him to be in the ring with her tonight. Orton figured this is a ploy for the Fiend's return, so he accepts. This is just horribly bad. I don't understand who they're trying to entertain. If you're trying to entertain horror film aficionados, you've got to do better. If you're trying to entertain children, you're failing. If you're trying to entertain adults, you're failing. This is just so bad. Anyway, there's a clip of Nia Jax attacking Charlotte Flair from months ago. Charlie Caruso interviews Charlotte. Charlotte's ready for Jax, but says she's dangerous. And Charlotte says she's willing to bet on herself. New Year's resolutions to climb to the top and stay there. Asuka entered, and she says that Jax is not ready for Charlotte, so Asuka's dropping because Charlotte returns. AJ Styles with Almost defeats Elias in 14 minutes, or a little after 14 minutes. This was a horrible match. Match goes through a break. A few minutes after the break, Riker goes towards Styles on the outside. backed off and almost scares him off. Styles kicks out of Elias's finisher and knocked Elias off with a Pele kick. Elias comes back with a TKO for a near fall. Styles fights back, kicks, and then hits a phenomenal forearm for the pinfall win. And they replay a Ricochet promo from last week's Raw Talk. A lot more wrestling, but it also shows that guys aren't ready to do longer matches. There's no way that Elias should be working an almost 15-minute match with a guy at the level of AJ Styles. He hasn't been pushed to that level. The match is completely non-sequential. It doesn't matter. It doesn't move anybody forward to have had the match. It's just horrible. Anyway, on the other hand, though, Mustafa Ali with Retribution defeating Ricochet in 11 minutes 49 seconds, so almost a 12-minute match. Decent match. Slapjack comes into the match a few minutes in, along with Mia Yim to distract the referee. T-Bar and Mace drop Ricochet outside the ring. Ref does nothing about this. Ali follows with a frog splash off the top to the outside. Ouch. That leads to a commercial break. Why? Ali hits a backbreaker for near fall. Ricochet comes back with a backflip into a German suplex. Ricochet turns Ali inside out and hits the Benadryller. Mace pulls out of the ring which does not lead to a disqualification. It would if wrestling rules actually mattered, but doesn't here. And then Retribution hangs out as a referee, just watches, and they attack. Ricochet tries a shooting star press. Ali gets the knees up and applies a Koji clutch for the submission win. Too much interference. It's literally just killing time for the sake of killing time. Nobody cares about Ricochet at this point because you've killed him off. Ali, if you give him momentum and more direction, they might care about, but it's just there. Ali asked Ricochet to join Retribution. Ricochet says, I will not. This was just flat. Caruso interviews Jax with Baszler about Charlotte. Jax has resolutions of her own, and Charlotte's journey back to the top is one of them. Keep the tag titles, enter the Women's Royal Rumble before going to WrestleMania to win the title. Baszler is caught off guard by all of this and tells Caruso she likes the idea too, so I guess that means that both of them are in the Women's Royal Rumble. Caruso involves McIntyre. He wanted to give the Legends a championship match they could remember and be proud of. I hate the idea of the Legends things next week on Raw, mainly because, well, okay, Legends are fine, except when that's the only way you can pop a rating, it means you haven't built in 20 years. This is ridiculous now, and I do at this point think Vince at 75 is out of touch with what his average audience wants. Even if their average audience is 50 years old, that's a quarter century younger than Vince. I just think you need to phase the old man out and start to build the company in a different direction. Anyway, Caruso interviews McIntyre for what's like the second or third time in the show. As mentioned, he wants to make the Legends proud. He's happy to see Lee step up his game. Lee could beat anyone except him. Tag Team Championship Women's version. Charlotte Flair with Asuka defeats Nia Jax with Shayna Baszler. So obviously I misspoke, and Nia Jax is the one half of the Women's Tag Team Championship. They give him 11 minutes. Ultimately, Charlotte applies a figure four. Baszler puts her in the Kikina clutch for the DQ. Asuka chases Baszler off. This is a completely flat segment. Jax does block the figure four attempt by yanking Charlotte into the corner. And then the back of her head just kind of bounces off. Hurt Business bullies some dude in the back. This is flat. Garza walks through the back with a rose. He sees a poster on the wall with the headline "Great Garza," referring to a baseball player, Matt Garza, who plays in Tampa. Caruso approaches him for the interview and said, "It's great to see him." Garza said he had a great year, and that includes meeting her. She asked about 2021. Garza looks forward to the new year. Thought he might introduce a legendary woman next week. She says she wants to know who's the Rose is for tonight. Juice runs in because he's running away from Tozawa. Eric and Gulak. Rose is destroyed. He gives it to her anyway. He said he thought that counts. She's upset by this. This Rose gimmick never went anywhere. They recap Big E winning the Intercontinental title. Jeff Hardy congratulates Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods on Big E winning the title. Riddle had ideas for a four-man team name, including Positively Hard Bros. New Day backed away without answering this. And Hardy suggested Rain Bros to Riddle, and he loved it. Then we go to an 8-man tag team, I guess, main event, because they close with another Alexa Bliss segment. So the last match of the night is Hurt Business defeating Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Jeff Hardy, and Riddle at 13 3/4 minutes. Pre-match, Bobby Lashley announced he's entering the Royal Rumble. I'd actually like to see Lashley win because they protected him well. Don't think he will, but it is what it is. Competitive control for the baby faces for a while. Hurt Business take over on Riddle during the break. Kingston makes a hot tag, goes nuts on Cedric Alexander. Woods comes in, and then Kingston takes out Sheldon Benjamin with a dive. Hardy takes out MVP with a dive. Why is everyone doing dives when there's no people in the crowd? Woods hits Alexander with a discus clothesline, and Phillips calls a Harper clothesline, which is a nice throwback. Hardy seems to have it won with a swanton. Lashley breaks up the cover. Everyone does moves. Lashley and Hardy are alone in the ring. Hardy avoids a spear. Lashley gets him with a hurt lock. And Hardy taps out for what seems like the 5th time in about 5 weeks. After the match, Hurt Business goes after the New Day. New Day fights back, escaping Riddle. I actually had forgotten that the Hurt Business was the tag champs for a minute or two here. Riddle hits Lashley with a knee strike before leaving his partners alone. Morrison tries consoling Miz in the back, reminding him that even John Cena once lost to Kevin Federline. This is better left forgotten. That obviously doesn't help Miz feel better. Adam Pearce shows up holding the Money in the Bank briefcase, and Miz thought he was going to rub it in his face. Pearce said he'd love to throw it in his face really hard. Instead, he's there to return it. Pearce basically says he's right. Miz is not the one who technically cashed it in. Miz is still Mr. Money in the Bank. Miz and Morrison celebrate like they've won the championship. This is just stupid. Speaking of stupid, the way we close the program is also stupid. Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton in the main segment. Orton asked Bliss where the Fiend was. Bliss said she wasn't sure about this, and this isn't about him. This is about her. She brought a Christmas present into the ring and opened it. It's gasoline in a box of matches. That's a scary thing to get for the holiday season. Anyway, she placed them by Orton's feet and challenged him to do to her what he's done to the Fiend. Maybe she's the one that's been pulling the Fiend's, so to speak, metaphorical strings the whole time. Orton didn't. And so she created a trail with gas and made it easier for him. She laid down in the ring and begged him to do it. He stares at her, as would anybody. Bliss said that Orton didn't have the guts to do it because he wasn't as sick and demented as he says he is. She called him a little, language I'm not going to use here. She dumped the gas over her body, and Orton smirks. Orton says, "If you think I won't do it." He wanted to do it, but knew she wanted him to, so he likes seeing people suffer. Lights turned off. When they come back on, Orton lit a match. The announcers begged Orton not to do it. They, however, do not move. Orton smiled and he motioned as if to drop the match, and they go off the air. So basically, murder on television is what they did here. Anyway, I recapped a 3-hour show in about 20 minutes, and there was nothing but junk on the show. There's some good wrestling, but at the end of the day, honestly, there's nothing here that makes anybody want to watch next week. And if I wasn't a habitual watcher just out of habit, I would not tune back into Raw next week after this. Hopefully 2021 is better. I wouldn't bet on it though. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.